When it comes to men and desire, most people assume it's all about visual triggers and physical urgency. But beneath the surface of male sexuality lives a hunger that goes beyond the skin. Many men secretly crave something far more primal, something untamed, a release from control, a surrender into sensation that words often fail to capture. These cravings are rarely spoken out loud, not because they are shameful, but because they are deeply vulnerable. They expose the part of a man that wants to be devoured, challenged, worshipped, and undone by the right woman. The woman who sees not just the man he shows the world, but the beast, the fire, the ache he hides behind his calm exterior. The first move men crave is dominance with devotion. Contrary to the myth, being rough isn't about harm, it's about depth. When a woman takes control, pulls his hair, pins him down, or straddles him with unapologetic authority, she awakens the part of him that's rarely allowed to let go. That moment, when she commands his body with desire, tells him, "You don't have to lead here, I want you, now." It's permission, it's reversal, it's liberation, and it's unforgettable because deep down, men want to know what it feels like to be taken, not just to take. There is a kind of dominance that doesn't come from control, but from deep desire. It's not cold or harsh. It's heated, focused, and fueled by devotion. This is the dominance many men secretly crave, not because they want to be overpowered, but because they want to feel a woman's full, unapologetic need for them. It's not about role-play or pretending to be something you're not. It's about letting go of self-consciousness and fully owning your hunger. When a woman confidently takes the lead, when she grabs him, pins him, or climbs on top with fierce intention, it hits a place in him that rarely gets touched. He's used to being the one in control, the one expected to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it well. But underneath that performance is a man who longs to let go, to be taken by a force more powerful than him, and that force is a woman who knows what she wants. The kind of dominance that ignites his soul isn't aggressive, it's sensual, primal, and anchored in love. It says, "I choose you, I want you, and I'm not afraid of how much." That kind of energy doesn't diminish his masculinity, it feeds it. It allows him to feel fully desired, not just for what he can do, but for who he is. When a woman grabs his face and kisses him like she can't wait another second, when she moves with urgency and moans with no shame, when she commands his body with boldness, he feels not just aroused, but adored. In that moment, he is not just a man, he is her man. And that sense of being claimed, of being wanted without hesitation, lights something inside him that lasts long after the moment ends. Men may not often voice this craving because it requires vulnerability. To admit that he wants to be taken, to be dominated with love, is to admit that he wants to surrender. And for many men, surrender is a sacred space they rarely trust anyone to enter. But when a woman dominates with devotion, with warmth in her eyes and fire in her hands, he feels safe enough to let go, and that letting go becomes a deeper kind of connection, one that says, "You don't always have to be strong, you don't always have to lead, you can let me take care of your hunger tonight." Dominance with devotion is not about flipping power roles, it's about dancing with them. It's the balance of strength and softness, control and compassion. When she rides him with intensity, but also runs her fingers through his hair, when she whispers demands but follows them with kisses, when she holds him down and looks him in the eyes with love, it becomes more than just sex. It becomes surrender. And for a man, that kind of surrender is addictive. It doesn't take away his power. It gives him a new way to express it. There's a language the body speaks that words will never fully capture. It's wild, unfiltered, and honest in its most raw form. Men, often taught to appear strong, controlled, and composed, rarely get the chance to experience a kind of intimacy that breaks through those layers. But there's something about rough physical touch, biting, scratching, gripping, that goes deeper than sensation. It becomes a message, a mark, an emotional imprint that lingers not just on the skin, but deep in his memory and his soul. It tells him that in that moment he was fully felt, fully wanted, and fully alive. Men may not say it out loud, but they remember the night her nails dug into their back like she never wanted to let go. They remember the sting of a bite on their shoulder because it felt like being claimed. These aren't just physical reactions, they are emotional signatures. That roughness, when given with intensity and care, creates a visceral reminder that he didn't just please her, he moved her. And that movement is everything. It tells him she couldn't contain herself, that the experience was so powerful she had to express it through her entire body. And that feeling that he caused that wildness makes him feel chosen in a way nothing else can. Rough physicality, when rooted in connection, tells a man he is not just performing, he is participating in something primal and real. There's no pretending in that space. When she grabs him like she's drowning in want, when she scratches his chest as if her body is overwhelmed, it bypasses his logical mind and goes straight to something deeper. It ignites the ancient instinctual part of him that thrives on raw contact. And that contact, far from being violent, becomes sacred. Because it wasn't just about pleasure, it was about passion, about her not holding back, about her being honest with her body. The truth is, most men have a secret longing to be marked, not because they want pain, but because they want proof that it was real, that they left an impact, that she didn't just enjoy it, she felt it. And those scratches, those bruises, those bite marks, they aren't injuries, they're evidence of intensity, of surrender, of two people meeting at their edge and not turning away. And the most unforgettable lovers are the ones who aren't afraid to go there. Rough physical touch isn't about aggression, it's about depth. It's the kind of touch that says, you matter, this moment matters, I am here, fully, and I'm not holding back. When a woman allows her desire to pour out through her grip, her bite, her nails, her weight, she leaves more than just marks on his skin, she leaves a memory in his bones. One he will return to long after the moment has passed, because that kind of physical intensity isn't about force, it's about presence. And presence, when expressed through passion, leaves an imprint that no time or distance can erase. Intensity without intimacy is just noise, it's motion without meaning. But when a woman brings her full passion into the moment, when she fuses hunger with heart, urgency with presence, something rare happens. A man doesn't just feel pleasure, he feels seen, accepted, and desired at a level that cuts through every wall he's ever built. Most men are taught that sex is about performance, about technique, rhythm, control, but the secret truth is that what they crave even more is emotional impact. They want the kind of sex that isn't just physically intense, but emotionally unforgettable. They want to feel like they're not just doing something, they're inside something, a moment, a current, a connection that cannot be faked. When a woman moves with urgency, grips him tighter, breathes heavier, and lets herself be completely overtaken by the experience, it invites him to do the same. But it's not just the rhythm or the roughness that pulls him deeper. It's how she looks at him in those moments, how she moans his name like it matters, how her body speaks louder than any words ever could. Her intensity is not just about her pleasure, it's about how deeply she's letting herself feel and how willing she is to take him there with her. That kind of emotional openness, mixed with raw sexual energy, is addictive to a man who is tired of being worshipped only for his strength, but never invited into something deeper. It's a myth that men don't want emotional closeness in bed. They may not always talk about it, but they feel the difference. They can tell when it's just friction and when it's fire. And fire doesn't come from speed or position, it comes from presence. From a woman who lets him all the way in, not just into her body, but into her energy, her breath, her rhythm, her gaze. The kind of sex that ruins a man for anyone else isn't the most acrobatic, It's the most honest. It's the moment when her body says, "I trust you," and her soul says, "I'm here." That kind of fusion breaks something open in him, something deeper than lust. It taps into his need to be needed, not just for what he does, but for who he is. When intensity is fused with intimacy, sex stops being an act and becomes an experience. It becomes something that touches him in places he didn't know could be touched. And when that happens, when the moan comes with eye contact, when the roughness comes with a kiss on the forehead, when the wildness is grounded in warmth, he doesn't just feel like a man, he feels chosen. He feels safe to unleash everything. And in that sacred space, where passion meets emotional truth, he finds not just release, but a connection that etches itself into memory, into muscle, into the very center of his being. Desire thrives in contrast. It feeds on unpredictability, on surprise, on the moments that jolt the senses and break the expected pattern. Men may not always articulate it, but they are deeply moved by moments in intimacy that catch them off guard in the best possible way. Those flashes where the woman they know reveals a more primal, commanding, or even wicked side they didn't expect. It's not about shock for its own sake. It's about awakening. Because when something unexpected happens in bed, it pulls a man out of his head and into the now. That surprise, whether it's a sudden slap, a whispered fantasy, a sharp tug of his hair, or a filthy word said right into his ear, does something powerful to his nervous system. It ignites attention. It says, "Stay with me, feel me. Don't drift away." Verbal surprise is especially potent when a woman who's usually soft-spoken suddenly commands him to go deeper or tells him exactly what she wants without shame or hesitation. It creates a surge of electricity. It's not just the words, it's the audacity behind them. It's her willingness to be seen in her rawest desires. For a man, that level of vocal confidence can be mind-blowing. It reveals to him that she isn't just present, she's activated. She isn't waiting for permission to feel or ask. She knows what she wants, and she dares to speak it. That kind of erotic self-expression pulls him out of performance mode and into a state of aroused submission. Not because she's taking over, but because she's awakening something deeper in him. The same principle applies to touch. A man might expect softness, gentleness, predictable rhythm, but when she suddenly grips his jaw, scratches down his back without warning, or slaps his thigh with purpose, it creates a spike in attention. It snaps him into presence. It tells him, without words, that she is not there to be passive. She is there to meet him with fire. That sensory surprise, when grounded in trust and chemistry, awakens the animal part of him that lives beneath the intellect. And once that part is activated, the entire dynamic changes. He stops thinking, he stops performing, he starts feeling. These moments of surprise don't have to be constant or extreme. In fact, they're most effective when used sparingly, like sudden lightning in the middle of a storm. What makes them unforgettable is their timing, their boldness, and the contrast they create. They rupture the ordinary. They say, "This isn't routine, this is real, this is me." And for a man who spends most of his life in control, in logic, in structure, that rupture is ecstasy. It invites him to stop leading, to stop calculating, and to fully surrender to sensation. Not just physical sensation, but the sensation of being with a woman who is emotionally fearless, sexually expressive, and completely awake in her own pleasure. That presence, paired with unpredictability, makes the entire experience feel dangerous in the most delicious way, wild, real, and unforgettable. This speech uncovers a deeper truth about what men truly crave in their most intimate moments, not just the physical, but the emotional depth that transforms sex into something unforgettable. It's not merely about roughness or dominance for its own sake. It's about how those elements are delivered, with devotion, with emotional presence, and with the courage to break routine through surprise and honesty. When a woman leads with her full desire, leaves emotional imprints through physicality, combines intensity with deep intimacy, and dares to shock his senses with raw expression, she creates an experience that penetrates far beyond the body. It touches the soul. This kind of sex makes a man feel chosen, awakened, and emotionally charged in a way that no technique alone could ever achieve. It's a reminder that great sex for a man is never just about the act. It's about the energy she brings into it and how deeply she's willing to go with him.